Okay. So, we'll continue our discussion from here in the current affairs class. Current affairs yearly roundup mein we have covered some part of science and technology, and we have to continue our discussion with respect to health. Okay? So, with respect to rare diseases were also into news last year. Why was it in the news? Because Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, he has approved 4 generic medicines for generic drugs for rare diseases. So, what exactly is a rare disease? As the name suggests, its occurrence is very rare. Okay? In 1000 to 10,000 people, only one person, there are chances that only one person will be suffering from this disease. Okay? So, rare diseases may 1 per 1000 or it ranges up to, WHO says it can extend up to 10,000 also. Okay? So, and it is a health condition of low prevalence, and that is why it is called as a rare disease. Usually rare diseases are genetic in origin. Okay? Genetic in origin matlab parents will have the traits of that disease. In that case, the child can suffer from the disease. Okay? So, talking about the generic diseases that have been approved, what is a generic disease? As we have discussed earlier, generic disease is a copy paste of a brand name drug. For example, a brand name drug can be Dolo, okay? And iska copy paste, the generic drug can be paracetamol. Okay? So, what is a brand name drug? That the company has done some clinical research, clinical trials, and spent some money in research and have come up with a new product. Okay? Once any pharmaceutical company comes up with a new product, they will be earning royalty for 20 years. Okay? This is a brand name drug. But once this 20 years expires, then all other companies across the world have the right of seeking the components using which the medicine has been created and create that combination to manufacture the drug in their own country. So, for example, India has done it as taking the components of Dolo and recreated the medicine. This is known as paracetamol. So, this can be done only after 20 years. Okay? This can be done only after 20 years. So, this is an example of a generic drug. But Government of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has approved 4 such generic drugs for rare diseases. Okay? So, rare diseases were also into news. That is because Delhi High Court has established Rare Disease Committee. Okay? Rare Disease Committee has been tasked with certain task, but why Delhi High Court specifically? Because maximum number of such rare diseases come to AIIMS, okay, which is located in Delhi. So, Delhi High Court is more concerned about occurrence of rare diseases in Delhi. Okay. So, what will this committee do? This is a 5-member panel to find out कि prevalence क्या है, what is the condition of disease prevalence in India, what are the solutions, for how many diseases do we have a solution, ठीक है? So, they will be looking after the treatment of patients. So, diagnosis and treatment and prevalence, disease diagnosis, prevalence and treatment will be taken care of under Rare Disease Committee. This committee will be tasked to do this. Plus, they will also be preparing guidelines for translating policy provisions into action. So, as we discussed, we already have a rare diseases policy. So, how do you implement this policy? How do you execute this policy will also be tasked in the hands of National Rare Diseases Committee. Okay? And they will be focusing on patients which are coming to AIIMS New Delhi, and that is why Delhi High Court is involved in this. Okay? Now, talking about the rare diseases policy itself, which came up in 2021, okay? This has basically focused on research and lower the cost, screen and detect. So, first of all, what we have observed with respect to rare disease, because of its prevalence, low prevalence, the diagnosis is very difficult, okay? And screening and testing, finding out whether the person is suffering from a particular rare disease or not, this becomes a very costly procedure. Just finding out whether the person is suffering from rare disease or not. Later on, treatment is also very costly, but finding out, screening is also costly. So, the focus will be on research. Research in what? In treatment. Okay? Research in treatment. How do I reduce the cost of treatment? How do I reduce the cost of diagnosis? How do I reduce the cost of screening out the patients? that these people are suffering from this kind of rare disease, how do I reduce the cost involved in screening out of these patients. Okay? So rare disease policy also classifies rare diseases into 3 types. Type 1, which is a one-time curative treatment. If a person is suffering from rare disease, you give them medications, whatever be the medications, but after the medication, this person will be free from that disease. That is one-time curative treatment. Okay? Second type of provision, second classification. This is one classification. Type 1 rare disease. Type 2 rare diseases are long-term or lifelong treatment is required for these rare diseases. Okay? So I can identify the patients, but after identification, this is a lifelong treatment which is required. But in third case mein patient selection and the cost involved is also quite high. So in third case, diagnosis itself is quite difficult. Finding out is also very difficult and it is also very costly. Okay? So these are the 3 classifications. First classification mein one time curative treatment and the person will be free from disease. Second case mein, if a person is suffering from rare disease, you need to find it out, although this person will require a lifelong treatment. Okay? And the third category are those people where it is very difficult to detect this kind of rare diseases, and even if it is detected, the cost is involved is also quite high. Okay? Rare disease policy also says that we will be giving some kind of financial support. Okay? Financial support under Rashtriya Arogya Nidhi for class 1. If a person is suffering from type 1 kind of rare diseases, then 20 lakh ka financial assistance will be given for group 1. Okay? But if you are not covered in group 1, okay, so that means group 2 and 3, high cost involved or long treatment. In that case, rupees 50 lakh will be given if you are not covered under Rashtriya Arogya Nidhi as well as group 1. Okay? Plus, your treatment will be done in center of excellence. So, there will be designated center of excellence allotted across the country. Your treatment can be done in along these hospitals only. Okay? Why is it so? Is because the cost involved is quite high, and because it's a government support which is involved in the treatment process. So, government will be funding these. There will be accounts opened up in these hospitals wherein funds will be transferred from government to these hospitals for the treatment of only rare disease patients coming under Rashtriya Arogya Nidhi or group 2 and 3 of rare diseases, type 2 and 3 of rare diseases. Okay? Center of excellence will also be maintaining, there will be a center of excellence which will be maintaining hospital database across the country, that this hospital has these many patients of rare disease, this hospital has these many patients of rare disease. So, we are basically preparing ourselves to fight against rare disease. Okay? In terms of research, in terms of classification, in terms of financial assistance and development of center of excellence. Okay? So, the next news was about food fortification. Food fortification के लिए we have the new norms from FSSAI. ठीक है? कि under such and such norms only food fortification can be carried out. ठीक है? So, what are the norms? What is the news? First of all, they have operationalized the provisions of Draft Food Safety and Standards Amendment Regulation. So, Food Safety and Standards Amendment, Food Safety and Standards Regulation के लिए implementing authority will be FSSAI. This rule has been amended. Okay? This rule was already amended and now they have executed it. Matlab there was a new law which was created and now the execution has begun. That means it has become operational now. Okay? Now, FSSAI, these rules have been mentioned under Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006. So, Food Safety and Standards Act 2006 को ही amend किया गया. ठीक है? So, what we have done that we need to limit the usage of micronutrients. If you are carrying out food fortification, it should not be crossing 1:100 by ratio of weight. That means, with 100 kg, let's say rice, you can apply only 1 kg of fortification, चाहे वो iron हो, चाहे B9 हो या B12 हो, whatever minerals, nutrients you are supplying, ठीक है? It should be in the ratio 1:100 by weight, ठीक है? And there are 3 options for India, amongst which we mostly carry out extrusion principle. So, what are the 3 options of food fortification? First option is coating. Coating matlab dust of iron or dust of B9, B12 will be brushed upon the rice kernels. Let's say we are talking about rice fortification. Okay? So there will be dust, and all of this dust will be coated across the rice kernels. This is dusting. Okay? But in case of this is dusting. In case of coating, what is done is there is a wax coating done along the rice kernels, and in this wax coating, this iron, B9, B12 supplements will go and stick. ठीक है? So dusting का disadvantage ये है कि if you wash the rice kernels, most of the minerals will be washed off. But in case of coating, ठीक है, this usually sticks. The third option which India uses is extrusion principle. Extrusion principle में what we are doing is we were powdering out rice. ठीक है? Let's say we get the rice from the farmers. We will be powdering it out. So it will be completely converted into powder. Then you add iron or B9 or B12, whatever be the micronutrients. Fortification has to be carried out. Okay? All of this to be added, mixed, and then all of this powder will be reconverted into, will be given the shape of rice kernels. Okay? This is known as extrusion. This is what is followed in India mostly. Okay? So what are the benefits of doing this? We will be able to tackle hidden hunger. What is hidden hunger? Hidden hunger matlab malnourishment. Malnourishment of lack of nutrients. For example, a person suffering from goiter, lack of iodine, a person suffering from anemia, lack of iron or folic acid supplements, a person suffering from B12 deficiency. Okay? So all of this we will be able to cater to if we are adding these micronutrients. So majorly India suffers, a huge part of the country suffers from mineral nutrient deficiency, especially iron. Okay? So iron deficiency can be catered if we are carrying out food fortification. Okay? What is the identification? This symbol will be mentioned in that food packet that we are seeing, whatever you are viewing. So on that food packet, if you see this symbol, that means it is a fortified food. Okay? Approved by FSSAI. Okay? So what are the key initiatives under which we are carrying out food fortification? Under PM Poshan Abhiyan we are carrying out. ठीक है, पोषण 2.0 and सक्षम आंगनवाड़ी में भी we are providing micronutrients only. ठीक है. Apart from this, as we discussed, plus F logo will be present in that food package, which denotes that it is a fortified food. ठीक है. Now what is exactly biofortification? This is a new term which is coming up. Biofortification basically means that we are changing the biology of the organism. For example, rice के plant में, the rice as a grass, rice plant is basically a grass, right? So we are adding iron, B9, B12 supplements in the plant itself, so that all of this nutrient will come to the rice kernel, or let's say wheat grass. ठीक है? In wheat grass we are injecting iron, B9, B12, whatever be the micronutrients, so that the wheat kernel itself will be having all of these micronutrients. This is known as biofortification. India mein biofortification is not very common. ठीक है? Okay, talking about the another concern of FSSAI, this is about the trans fats. ठीक है? Another major concern of FSSAI is trans fats. So let us first understand what are fatty acids. ठीक है? Fatty acids can be saturated. If we are calling it as a saturated fatty acid, then it will look something like this. This is a saturated fatty acid. ठीक है? But if we calling something as an unsaturated fatty acid, then it will look something like this. So this is an example of unsaturated fatty acid. Okay? In general, unsaturated fatty acids are considered to be good cholesterol for body. Okay? Saturated fatty acids, because it is all packed up, the bonds are very tight. Okay? So they easily get deposited along the blood vessels, and they will stop or reduce the blood flow. Okay? Which increases the heart attack or any kind of cardiovascular diseases. Okay? We are talking about bad cholesterol. Bad cholesterols are usually generated from saturated fatty acids, because saturated fatty acids mein bonds are very strong. So they will go and get deposited in the blood vessel. In case of unsaturated fatty acids, the bonds are not very strong, so they will not be getting deposited along the blood vessels. But in all, both of them should be consumed in a limited manner. Okay? Now saturated fatty acids के लिए this is bad, these are usually bad, ठीक है. But saturated fatty acids are obtained naturally also, can be manufactured also, industry made also. For example, dalda. Dalda is an example of a saturated fatty acid, industrially manufactured. This is considered to be bad. But relatively coconut oil is better. ठीक है. Naturally obtained saturated fatty acid from beef is also okay, and from butter is also okay. But all in all, mono unsaturated and poly unsaturated are considered to be the best kind of oil. ठीक है. So olive, canola oil, peanut oil, soybean, corn, fatty fish, all of these are considered to be good oils. ठीक है. Good fatty acids. ठीक है. It reduces the chances of any kind of heart attack. But this is an exception. As we discussed, saturated fatty acids are bad, unsaturated fatty acids are good. ठीक है. But this is an example wherein it is having double bond. So it is unsaturated. It is something like this, but still it is considered to be bad. Trans fats are considered to be very, very bad. You see the consumption. FSSAI says that its consumption should be less than 2.2 grams of trans fats per day. ठीक है. And in case of saturated fatty acids, it should be less than 20 grams. So if we compare whether saturated is bad or trans fat is bad, trans fat is considered to be worst. Okay? What exactly is a trans fat oil? Trans fats are obtained by reheating an oil again and again. Okay? So for example, hot chips or chola bhatura, where you are frying deeply fried items, all of these oil are heated again and again. So the regulation of FSSAI says, the regulation of FSSAI says that if you are a consumer of 50 liters per day. So we are talking about big companies such as Haldiram's or such chains, Hira Lal, or such big chains which are sweet and snacks corner. ठीक है. So your consumption of oil will be more than 50 liters per day. ठीक है. In that case, you are not supposed to heat the oil beyond 3 times. If you are doing so, we will be taking up this oil and converting it into ethanol. This project of FSSAI is known as repurpose used cooking oil. Repurpose used cooking oil. ठीक है? रुको. This is an initiative of FSSAI that if your consumption is beyond 50 liters per day, you are not supposed to reheat the oil beyond 3 times. So what will we be doing with your oil? We will be taking it from you and converting it into ethanol. ठीक है? Plus FSSAI also says that we need to eat right campaign. Eat right campaign basically means your consumption of salt, sugar, the way ICMR has come up with recent guidelines, right? To reduce the presence of non-communicable diseases, ICMR has come up with the recent guidelines. ठीक है? So FSSAI has also come up with something similar called the Eat Right campaign. Eat Right campaign basically says that your consumption of salt and sugar and trans fat and fat should be in a controlled manner, in a limited manner. ठीक है? Plus, Serve Safe is also another initiative of FSSAI which says that we will be carrying out hygiene ratings of home, of sweet shop, of restaurants, of meat sellers. Whether your hygiene ratings are sufficient or not, is good enough or not, on that basis only we will be rating you, and on that basis the customers will be able to better choose whether to go to particular restaurant or a sweet shop or a meat shop or not. ठीक है? These are some of the campaigns of FSSAI. But otherwise, FSSAI is a statutory body. Statutory body matlab there is a law which is giving backing to FSSAI, and the act, name of the act is also FSSAI Act of 2006. ठीक है? This comes under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. ठीक है? Not Ministry of Food Processing. This comes under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And इनका काम क्या है कि जो भी Health and Family Welfare से regulation आएगा, whatever be the regulations coming from Ministry of Health and Family Welfare will be consolidated, and how will its execution be carried out will be all drafted by FSSAI. ठीक है? Talking about the trans fat. So trans fat it can exist naturally also, it can be produced industrially also. For example, as we discussed, dalda. Dalda is an example of partially hydrogenated oil. So what happens is there will be polyunsaturated oil, right? This is an example of polyunsaturated oil. Okay? So what they will do, they will saturate this. Okay? But and they will saturate this bond also. But they will leave one. Okay? This is known as a partially hydrogenated oil. This is what is manufactured in industries. ठीक है, partially hydrogenated oil का example can be dalda, ठीक है, and this is considered to be bad. This is also an example of saturated oil. So these are all considered trans fats which are industrially produced are extremely bad, ठीक है. Now talking about another regulation from FSSAI, this is the protein binder, ठीक है. So protein binders, why was it running into news? Is because some of the companies have been blamed by FSSAI. It has been through investigations. It has been found out that these companies are making use of protein binders in milk and milk protein. ठीक है, milk and milk products. So it will be all. It can be milk. It can be curd. It can be butter. It can be cheese. It can be paneer. Any of these products may protein binders are added. What exactly is a protein binder? Protein binder will increase the fat content of the milk. Okay? So the milk looks thicker. For example, if you have heard from the advertisement campaign that I am getting so much amount of cream from this milk, this is an indication of there can be an additional supplementary protein binder which is being added in that milk. Okay? So addition of protein binders in dairy products, this is not permitted as per FSSAI. What is it actually? It is a thickening agent, thickens the texture of the milk products. Okay? So it is a thickening agent. Okay. So talking about the next topic, this is the organ and tissue transplant. Okay? So why was organ and tissue transplant running into news? Is because government has come up with or NOTO is a regulator for organ and tissue transplant. They have come up with new set of guidelines. Okay? There has been changes in age, in domicile requirements, and that is why organ transplants are running into news. Okay? So what is the news? First of all, for two reasons it is into news. एक तो national level tissue bank is being created. ठीक है? For storage of tissues, national level tissue bank will be created in the headquarters of NOTO, which is in Delhi. ठीक है? So what is the difference between a tissue and an organ? So tissue basically consists of multiple cells, ठीक है? But all of these cells will be performing the same task. ठीक है? So that will be a tissue. Now you imagine multiple types of tissues. Multiple types of tissue, matlab this is responsible for secretion, this is responsible for assimilation, this is responsible for some secretion of something else, this is responsible for blood flow. So all these tissue together will form an organ. ठीक है? Tissues can have different functions, but all the cells inside the tissue will have same function, and multiple tissues together form organs. Okay? So that is the difference between tissue and organ. This is the first news that is why organ transplant is running into news, is because NOTO ke headquarter mein we have opened up a national level tissue bank. That is one thing. Second thing is new guidelines have come up from NOTO related to organ transplant. The first change is, now if a recipient who is more than 65 years of age, they are also permitted to get the organs from a deceased donor. Only from a deceased donor. Who is a deceased donor? A person who is either brain dead or dead actually. ठीक है? We are calling them as deceased donor. Live donor matlab those who are alive. ठीक है? So what is exactly brain dead, that we will discuss in some time. ठीक है? But brain dead or dead patients are called as deceased donors. For them, they can be the organ donors to a recipient who is more than 65 years of age. That is one change. Second change is, earlier wherever you are carrying out organ transplant, you had to register yourself as a domicile of that state itself. Okay? The intention of doing this was that there was too much amount of organ smuggling which was taking place. So to ensure that organ should not move from one state to the other and buying and selling can be controlled, this domicile requirement was created. but then there are chances this is leading to excessive regulation from government, and this is leading to actually demand is too much for organs but supply is not sufficient. Okay? So to remove these kind of problems, and NOTO has come up with the new guidelines. Okay? So no domicile requirement. Now the domicile requirement for as an organ recipient has been removed. That was the second change. And third change is, earlier a registration fees of 5,000, 10,000, 2,000, somewhere around 2,000 to 10,000 was being charged by the NOTO itself. For example, I am an organ recipient, so I need to register with NOTO stating that both my kidneys have failed and I am in need of another kidney. Okay? So in that case, I am an organ recipient and I need to register with NOTO. Okay? In this case, there was some amount of registration fees which was being charged. Now, health is a state subject, so every state has kept different norms related to registration fees, and this was very much difficult for a person who is financially very weak. Okay? So this requirement has also been removed. Now, no registration fees will be charged if a person registers himself or herself as an organ recipient. Okay? So these three changes have been introduced, and that is why organ transplants are running into news. Now let us continue our discussion with respect to organ transplant, talking about the statistics. Okay? The organ which is maximally demanded or transplanted is kidney. Okay? Why kidney? Is because alcohol consumption in country is quite high, plus diabetes prevalence is also quite high. In both these cases, kidney gets spoiled. Okay? So this is one reason. Second statistics is, India में maximum amount of live donors are registering themselves in New Delhi. Okay? Now why are donors registering themselves? Donors are registering because let's say कि I want to donate my organ. Okay? So I have the provision that I can go to the NOTO's website and fill the form and say that once I die, okay, you can take my organs. Or you can take some part of my organ, or if I am a deceased donor, or if I am a brain dead patient, you can take my organs. This registration can be done from the organ donor side. Okay? Number of live donors registering themselves are maximally from Delhi, and they are the ones who are actually donating the organs also. Okay? But highest number of organ donations are actually taking place in Tamil Nadu. So live plus deceased together may highest number of organ donations is Tamil Nadu, but live donors में maximum is Delhi. ठीक है? Plus India we carry out third highest number of organ transplants. This is also because labor in India is very cheap, because medical facilities in India is very cheap as compared to Western countries. So if they have to carry out organ transplant, they will come to India and carry out the surgeries. So that can also be one of the reasons why we have third highest number of organ transplant cases in India. Okay? Plus, deceased donor are only 17% of the transplants. This is a sorry state of affair, because we are taking organs from a live donor, and deceased donor are not ready, or the family of the deceased donor are not ready. There is a form of reluctance that they do not want to donate their organs. So we have only 17% of the transplants coming from deceased donor and 83% from live donors. Okay? Now statistically speaking, one donor can save up to 8 lives. An organ donor, if I am donating my organs, kidney ho gaya, heart ho gaya, liver ho gaya, pancreas ho gaya, lungs ho gaya, if I am donating my organs, I can save up to 8 lives. But if I am a tissue donor, what can be tissues? It can be a connective tissue such as blood, it can be a nervous tissue, or skin, even skin. So all of these are examples of tissue. Okay? One tissue donor can save up to 75 lives. Okay? Interestingly, in India, we have a huge number of women donors. 75% of the donors are female in India. Okay? And 4/5, that is 80% of the recipients in India, they are all male. Okay? So huge number of organ donations are done by women, and huge number of organ recipient are done by male. Okay? Okay. Talking about the organ transplant program. So organ transplant program का intention ये है that they want to promote organ donation, ठीक है. So जो भी organ donation में complications आएंगे, all of that will be catered to by organ transplant program. So the focus will be to promote organ donation, ठीक है. Now Director General of Health Services will be the chairman of this execution of this program, and इनका intention ये भी है कि they will be setting up biomaterial centers across the country. So what is a biomaterial center? Biomaterial center matlab this will be a place wherein you are saving or storing some kind of biomaterial. Can be liver, can be kidney, can be organ, can be tissues, anything. So biomaterial center को every part of the country में available कराना. So for example, somebody needs an organ in Pondicherry, they should also in Pondicherry, तो organ should be available in closer areas to Pondicherry also. ये intention है organ transplant program का, ठीक है. So setting up of biomaterial centers plus training the doctors for transplantation is also carried by organ transplant program only, ठीक है. And apart from this, for all the BPL population, so if we carry out some kind of organ donation, ठीक है, or for example, I am an organ recipient, so a new organ has been introduced into my body, so but the natural immunity mechanism says that if we have any foreign body in our body, so the immunity, our body's immunity will go and either kill the body, that organ, or get that organ rejected, ठीक है. This is basically a suppressant, sorry, this is basically our body's immunity. So now once the organ transplant has been done, to ensure that this immunity, natural immune mechanism should not work, we give some kind of immunosuppressants. Immunosuppressants will ensure that the immunity of the person will be reduced, ठीक है, so that this person will not, the body of this person will not reject that organ, will not kill that organ, ठीक है. But also it has very severe high negative effects, ठीक है. So the negative effects are the immunity of the person will be compromised. Now the person, if anybody around the person sneezes also, the person will start coughing or having cold, ठीक है. So immunosuppressants are usually given for an organ recipient, given to an organ recipient. Now for BPL population, because these immunosuppressants are very costly, so all of these medicines will also be provided by the organ transplant program, ठीक है. Apart from this, we also have Transplantation of Human Organs Act. Transplantation of Human Organs Act. ये act का क्या काम है कि removal and storage of organs के लिए regulator है. The regulator is checking whether organ smuggling should not be taking place. If you have entered into OT for some other purpose, let's say your nose is bleeding or there is some brain surgery, so your kidney is not taken away, your part of your liver is not taken away. So we need to ensure this, and for this we have the act, the legal backing which is ensuring that smuggling of organ is not, buying and selling of organ is not taking place. That is to be ensured by Transplantation of Human Organs Act. Okay? But unfortunately, because health is a state subject, again there are implementation issues. Different states are implementing the same act in a different way. Okay? Now talking about the organ donation में क्या-क्या challenges face कर रहे हैं. First major challenge is the gap between demand supply. ठीक है. The demand is approximately, with respect to only kidney, the demand is approximately 2 lakh. And how much we are able to make the kidneys available is only 8,000. So there is a huge gap between what we are demanding and what is the supply. ठीक है. That is one major challenge. Second is 70 to 75% donors being female. So we are not able to register male donors in the country. That is another major challenge. ठीक है. Third problem is hesitation in donation. Hesitation in donation matlab, for example, I as an organ donor, I have registered with NOTO and I am saying कि I want to donate my organs. ठीक है. Once I am dead. After I die, then the family comes and says, no, I am not willing to give off my daughter's organs. ठीक है. So the family has some kind of hesitation. ठीक है. It is very difficult to obtain the family's consent in getting the organs. ठीक है. Plus, public hospital में infrastructure equipments are not sufficiently present to carry out safe and hygienic organ transplantation. Organ transplantation के बाद, as we discussed, that the immunity of the person is severely compromised. So we need to ensure that absolute hygiene is to be maintained post the patient has undergone some kind of surgery. ठीक है. So, public hospitals are not infrastructurally equipped to carry out this kind of surgeries. Okay? Plus, NOTO unfortunately is giving higher priority to a patient coming from outside, foreign country, foreign patients over Indian patients. Why is it so? That is because they are getting much more amount of money from foreign patients as compared to Indian patients. Okay. There is one more challenge. This is the brain dead challenge, and here we will be understanding what is brain dead. But apart from this, again the problem is same, because health is a state subject, so different states are having different kind of norms. Now what exactly is a brain dead, and why is it a challenge in organ donation? So brain dead matlab the organs are functioning. Okay? Organs are basically controlled by brain, right? So if the brain stops working, so the organs which are actually functional will stop getting signal that you need to function. For example, heart ko pump karne ke liye there is a signal which is coming from brain, medulla oblongata. There is some part of the brain which says that yes, you need to continue pumping. Okay? So heart is continuing to pump. Now if the signal stops coming from here, then heart is capable of pumping, but it is not pumping because the signals are not reaching till the heart. Okay? This is a condition of brain dead. This is the condition of brain dead. To understand, see, this is the image of a normal brain. Normal brain, all the brain functions parts are working. Okay? In case of a vegetative state, what we commonly call as coma. Okay? Coma mein your brain is working, okay? But the organ stops working. This is the condition of coma. So some of the other organs, so for example, motor neurons has stopped working. Okay? Optical neuron has stopped working. So the brain is working, but you are not able to see. The brain is working, but you are not able to move. This is the state of vegetative state, we say. Okay? The third state, this state may the person is should actually be understood that they are dead. Okay? What is the condition of brain dead? That the organs are not able to work because brain is not working. Brain is not sending signals to the organ that you should continue working. Okay? So unfortunately, brain dead may the person will not be able to flip the eye, will not be able to, actually none of the actions are taking place. He or she is not breathing, the heart is not pumping, motor nerves are not working. Okay? So that is the condition of a person which is brain dead. We have approximately 71% of the patients which are staying in CCU, critical care units. Okay? Critical care units में 71% of the patients who are actually brain dead. Okay? But we are not able to take organs from their body because the family is still saying that the brain is dead, the body is still working, we are not ready to accept organ donations to be carried out. That is one ethical challenge associated to, this is the ethical challenge, because by logic that is correct, organs are working, brain is not working. Okay? This is the ethical challenge, but then there is a legal concern here. What is the legal concern? That we have not been able to define brain dead as dead in 2 acts of India. Hamare yahan a person is declared dead, the legal law, the law which gives this backing कि अगर आपके यहाँ कोई इंसान मर जाता है, if there is a death of any person, you need to register at Registration of Birth and Death Act. You need to register with this act. Registration of Birth and Death Act 1969. ठीक है? Under which you need to mention what was the reason for death. So reason for death के लिए brain dead is not an option. Registration of Birth and Death Act does not identify a brain dead patient as a dead patient. That is one legal concern. Second problem is again Indian Penal Code. Indian Penal Code may be same problem hai. The person is dead, but you cannot mention the reason that reason for death was brain death. ठीक है? So we have not been able to define brain dead in 2 major acts which governs the reasons for death in India. ठीक है? That is why the legal concern says the doctor is also doctor in his or her own capability also will not be able to carry out organ transplant because the law also says that this person is not dead. ठीक है? So these are some of the challenges associated to organ donation. Now talking about NOTO itself. ठीक है? NOTO has a headquarter in Delhi as we discussed क्योंकि यहीं पे इनका वो tissue bank, national level tissue bank has been opened up. ठीक है? Directorate General of Health Services will be chairing this Ministry of Health and under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. He or she will be the chairman of NOTO. ठीक है? What is the function? Ki they will be laying down the policy guidelines and protocols. So, with respect to organ transplantation, what is the policy guideline? What is the protocol of all of this will be discussed by NOTO. Okay? Plus, they will also be maintaining the list of terminally ill patients across the country. So, how many patients have entered into CCU in your hospital? What is the condition of this patient? Will we be able to retrieve the patient? Will we be able to bring back the patient, or the patient has a higher chances of death? So terminally ill patients के लिए list maintain करना भी नोटो का ही काम है, ठीक है? And consultancy support on legal and non-legal aspects, all of this is to be carried out by noto, ठीक है? So what is the way forward associated to this? One option is we can go for an opt-out model. Opt-out model, which is implemented in either England or Australia or in Singapore. The option is this: कि once you are born, we will be considering that you are ready for organ donation. ठीक है? Until and unless you opt out that no, I am not ready for organ donation, we will be considering every individual as an organ donor. ठीक है? Second is smoothen the medico-legal procedure. Medico-legal procedure matlab I showed you that there are some legal hurdle associated to it. Practically speaking, it is very difficult to carry out organ transplantation in India. ठीक है? I am not talking about the doctor, I am talking about the patient. So, I registering as an organ recipient, it becomes very difficult. It almost takes more than a year to first of all find out an organ donor, okay? And then get it approved by the committees carrying out the final transplantation. This takes a lot of time, okay? So, we need to smoothen the medico-legal procedure, okay? Kerala has come up with a clinical protocol for brain dead. So, Kerala has been able to take the first step that we will be defining brain dead and streamline the transportation process. So, transportation of organ, iske liye we need to develop green corridors. Okay? So, we already have started green highways launch program. What is a green highway launch program? These highways will be used for transportation of organs from one city to the other. ठीक है? This will promote organ donation in India. ठीक है? So the next topic is related to e-cigarettes. So what is exactly an e-cigarette? E-cigarette is basically a device. This device will be used for nicotine delivery. So nicotine can be inhaled using this device. And how do we use this? You simply plug it in, get it charged, and there will be so nicotine will already be present in this cigarette. Okay? We continue adding different kind of flavors. So you can have butterscotch flavored nicotine, or vanilla flavored nicotine, or strawberry flavored nicotine. This can be done. Okay? All such systems we call this as electronic nicotine delivery systems, or ENDS. Okay? Why is it why are e-cigarettes running into news? Is because children in the age group of 13 to 15 years, okay? Children in the age group of 13 to 15 years are consuming more than adults. Okay? That is a significantly alarming situation, and this is a global situation. Okay? India mein e-cigarettes are banned, but still the prevalence is there. Okay? Between 2017 and 22, Canada has experienced कि 16 to 19 years का age group में whatever be the consumption of e-cigarettes in the initial years in 2017, this has doubled up to 2022. ठीक है? This is again a very alarming situation. I'll tell you why. Because e-cigarettes was promoted. There was a time when e-cigarettes was being promoted, stating that it will help you de-addict from smoking. But later on, it has been observed that this is nowhere remotely close to de-addiction to smoking. Okay? So what is exactly an e-cigarette? E-cigarette is a combination of nicotine plus flavoring agent, as we discussed. It is a pen-size structure, okay, in which nicotine will already be present. We keep on adding the flavoring agents. Okay? It includes all forms of electronic nicotine delivery systems. So e-cigarettes come under that category. Now talking about e-cigarettes in India, this has been banned under the prohibition of electronic cigarettes. Okay? Banned under prohibition of electronic cigarettes. Production, manufacture, sale, import, export, all of it has been banned. You can neither produce it, nor import it, nor export it, neither use it, none of it. Okay? And the name of the act is Prohibition of Electronics Act. Okay? If anybody is found violating, either you are manufacturing or importing or exporting, so the penalty is either 1 year of jail imprisonment or 1 lakh of penalty to be paid. Okay? So, Health Ministry has said that although it has been banned in India, we are still witnessing 13 to 15 years overall. This is the global data, but we are still, India maybe we are witnessing presence of e-cigarettes, usage, consumption of e-cigarettes amongst youth. ठीक है. Okay. So what is the issue with respect to e-cigarettes? Why is e-cigarette considered to be bad? ठीक है. There are health risks. It leads to addiction and heart diseases. So and because it is nicotine, so it can also lead to cancer. ठीक है. Plus, as we discussed, when e-cigarettes was being promoted in the country, it was often said that it will help you in de-addiction, but it has nowhere remotely been helping any individual in de-addiction. ठीक है. Easily available in tobacco shops and online. E-cigarettes, although banned in India, can be bought online. ठीक है. So we have not been able to implement the banning of e-cigarettes properly. ठीक है. Plus, less regulations internationally. 88 countries do not have a minimum age for consumption of e-cigarettes. ठीक है. And it is aggressively marketed amongst children and youth. ठीक है. It is said that this is not exactly a cigarette. This is something different from cigarette, so you can easily consume this. So this is aggressively marketed among children, and internationally no age-wise restriction on usage, as we discussed. ठीक है. Interestingly, why do we say that it does not lead to de-addiction is because nicotine in a normal cigarette is approximately 1.2 to 1.4 milligrams per milliliter. ठीक है. 1.4 to 1.2 to 1.4 milligrams per milliliter has so much amount of effect. If you've seen anybody consuming cigarette, you would have seen ki it leads to depressant, or it leads to reduction in the functioning of central nervous system with that small amount. But in e-cigarette, the amount of nicotine which is present is 36 micrograms per milliliter. So this is significantly and abruptly higher than a normal cigarette. That is why we keep saying that it is nowhere remotely helping in de-addiction from smoking. ठीक है. Nicotine, talking about nicotine, it's a plant alkaloid containing mostly nitrogen. ठीक है. And this is a sedative also, stimulant also. What is a sedative? Sedative or stimulant this will increase your functioning of the central nervous system. Sedatives or depressants reduces the functioning of the central nervous system. So how come it can be a sedative also, stimulant also? It depends upon the body, in the manner in which it reacts to the body. Somebody can become silent, or somebody can become more aggressive. ठीक है. Karnataka has declared nicotine as a class A poison. Now, what is a class A poison? Poison are categorized under 3 categories. Class A poison are considered to be the worst category. ठीक है. Significantly affecting the health. Okay, now talking about tobacco. Okay, so tobacco is running into news because WHO has prioritized that we need to shift away from the cultivation of tobacco. ठीक है. There is an ongoing project from WHO which says that we need to shift away our cultivation practices, land use. Instead of cultivating tobacco, we need to start cultivating food resources. ठीक है. So WHO has prioritized food production over tobacco cultivation. That's why it is running into news. India mein largest producer is Gujarat. Gujarat is the largest producer of tobacco in India. ठीक है. UP is the third largest, but second largest is Andhra. So talking about tobacco and tobacco's production in India. India is the second largest producer and second largest consumer. China is the largest producer or as well as largest consumer of tobacco. ठीक है. 27% of the global cancer burden is because of tobacco. ठीक है. 27% of the global cancer burden is because of tobacco. So we have a huge amount of lung cancer. ठीक है. This was also coming up from the reports of WHO. WHO also came up with a global report on cancer, ठीक है, which says that maximum amount of cancer, maximum disease prevalence related to cancer is related to lung cancer only. ठीक है. Okay, so talking about addiction, 29% of the Indian adults are addicted to consuming tobacco. ठीक है. Talking about the government initiatives, 16% increase. So what has government done to reduce the consumption of tobacco? They have increased the budget by 16%. Budget 23-24 में the cost of consumption of tobacco, the cigarettes has been increased by 23%, so that, sorry, 16%, so that we will be able to reduce the consumption of tobacco. Okay. Second is OTT regulations. OTT regulations matlab if you would have seen anybody smoking on TV, there will be a mark in the end of the screen which says smoking is injurious to health. Okay. So this is mandatory that OTTs also need to display whenever they are showing, exhibiting anybody who is smoking, they must also write smoking is injurious to health. Okay. Plus we also have National Tobacco Quitline Services, which is basically a contact number. You need to call them and they will help you in de-addiction. Okay. Okay. Then we have Codex Alimentarius Commission. Codex Alimentarius Commission is a joint initiative of World Health Organization and Food and Agriculture Organization. Basically, this is a commission. Okay? So, this is a body. Codex Alimentarius Commission is a body. This is a joint venture of World Health Organization and Food and Agriculture Organization. Why is it running into news? Is because FSSAI from India has asked a Codex Alimentarius Commission and has been approved that we need to set up standardization. We need to carry out standardization of 15 millets. Okay? FSSAI, 5 of this has been approved: finger millet, barnyard millet, kodo, proso, and little millet. Okay? So we have submitted the application for 15 millets. We want to carry out the standardization. We will be testing the food, we will be checking the water quantity, moisture quantity, nutrient condition, pesticide amount in these millets, okay? And standardization will be done. Okay? This standardization will be done by FSSAI. Please accept this recommendation. Okay? So Codex Alimentarius Commission said that nahi 15 ke liye to we will not agree, but 5 ke liye we are permitting. Okay? Quality parameters, 8 quality parameters has been accepted. Abhi tak. So this is the recent development. But till now, Codex had standardization for 2 millets. One is sorghum. This is commonly known as jowar, and pearl millet. This is also known as bajra. Okay. So for jowar and bajra, standardization was already carried out by Codex Alimentarius Commission, and now 5 more ke liye will be carried out by FSSAI to be approved by Codex Alimentarius Commission. Okay. 7th session of Codex was conducted in India, and in which spices were standardized. Okay. As per India's say, spices have been standardized. Which spices have been standardized? It consists of small cardamom, turmeric, juniper berry, alpis, and star anise. So these 5 spices have been standardized by India and has been accepted by Codex Alimentarius Commission. Okay. Now talking about this, we discussed that this is a joint venture of WHO plus FAO, and the standards are voluntary. Okay. Voluntary standards matlab, let's say कि India recognized कि ये इसका specification ये star anise है, and star anise के लिए you need these 5 quality checks. ठीक है? Only if the 5 quality checks are approved, then we will be able to say that this is meeting Codex का standards. ठीक है? So India was selling this to USA. ठीक है? Nigeria says that no, I do not believe this. I do not accept this. You are talking about 5 quality parameters that should be checked. I am approving along 4 lines. So please accept this also. ठीक है? India has the capability of saying no, I do not accept your spices because you have not fulfilled those 5 checks. ठीक है? So this is a voluntary provision. Nigeria can accept whatever Codex says or can reject. India can accept or reject. ठीक है? But in general, India has accepted. In general, India has accepted. You can increase the price of a product if it has met the Codex standards. ठीक है? But इनको value दिया क्यों जाता है? If it is a voluntary provision, then why are we giving it value? Is because of WTO. ठीक है? World Trade Organization has certain trade barriers. ठीक है? What is exactly a trade barrier? Trade barrier will ensure कि you will not be able to मतलब the restriction that this product should not enter into such and such country is a genuine restriction. For example, we have anti-dumping duty of steel and aluminium coming from China. ठीक है? Because we say that your steel and aluminium is of poor quality that you are selling in my country. Okay? So this is accepted by WTO. WTO says that India is genuine in its case, and yes, we have observed that the steel and aluminium coming from China is bad. So India can put up some kind of restriction, anti-dumping duty on whatever goods that are coming from China. Okay? In this manner, this was a trade barrier. Okay? So similarly, another kind of trade barrier is the SPS. SPS stands for Sanitary and Phytosanitary Measures. Okay? SPS has been accepted. Codex standard has been accepted as SPS standard. For example, let's say Indian mangoes are being sold to European Union. Okay? But Codex says that Indian mangoes should have such and such quantity of magnesium, such and such quantity of calcium, such and such amount of iron, and should not be having fruit flies, okay, in its packaging and hygiene industries. Okay. So, but once the mango entered into European market, they found all the nutrients are present, but they had fruit flies. So, European Union has the authority to say, no, we will not be accepting you, because WTO's SPS says that sanitary and phytosanitary measures if the standards are not meeting the Codex standards, we will be permitting you to put up some kind of trade barriers and increase the price of product and not allow that product to come to your country. Okay? So, WTO's SPS has given weightage to Codex Alimentarius Commission, and that is why India also gives weightage to it. Okay? So, with this biology part of current affairs is over. Okay? Health part is over. Okay, we'll continue our discussion with respect to biotechnology in the next few classes. Okay.